In our last episode, we met Cornwell Hademu. He's a small-scale farmer in Zambia's southern province, and as we got to know, a mentor in his community. He believes collaboration and mentorship are the keys to uplifting his community.
Because whoever is doing sustainable agriculture to the fullest never goes hungry.
But Cornwell knows that just because he's teaching others does not mean he's done learning. He also partners with others in Choma to see how far they can push sustainable farming. And if they manage to convince more people along the way to give nature-based solutions a try, well, that can't hurt, right? Welcome to Nature Answers, rural stories from a changing planet. Together, we explore stories of how communities in rural sub-Saharan Africa are working with nature to adapt to climate change. We're talking about nature-based solutions, but more importantly, the stories of people who are using these solutions to make a difference in their communities. I'm your host, Ivy Prosper, joining you from Accra, Ghana. This is episode 2 in our 3-part special that makes up the finale of season 2 of Nature Answers, and we're back in Choma, Zambia. Ben Chisinga is a principal technical research assistant at Mochipapa Research Station. The station is named after the Mochipapa tree. It looks like any other tree nearby, but don't be fooled. It's famous in the area.
What are the stories behind it that you have heard?
The stories behind it, but according to what you have heard, it was a shrine a long time ago. People used to worship for rains, like we are saying, yes. Now that it has been there since time immemorial. Find that there are a lot of mystery there. That if you cut it next day it will grow back.
Did you try to cut it?
Yes. No, we don't. So that's the mystery behind that tree.
The roots of the Mochipapa tree grow near the research station. Picture it. Bright white buildings with slanted roofs, standing where a dirt road comes to an end. The station is a division of the Zambia Agricultural Research Institute. The town the station is in is also named after the tree. It's just over the train tracks from Choma. Mochipapa Station has been working with Cornwell for the last 4 years. They also work with 30 other farmers right now, but Cornwell's farm is the only one with irrigation. Most farmers in the area have to draw water by hand from wells or manually pump from boreholes to water their crops in the dry season. Even the research station's own fields don't have irrigation. That comes with its obstacles. Research on drought resilience can become inconclusive if it rains too much one year. And because not many people have the resources to keep farming during the dry season, do-overs sometimes have to wait until the next year. That was the case last year when Zambia faced its worst drought in 40 years. Ben says that's one of the major challenges to their research operations.
But there is potential here. It's only that that potential is not highly harnessed because of the limited resources we have.
Of course, drought doesn't only hit the farmers' yields. It also delayed the research schedule for Mochipapa Station, and not because of the fields. Zambia relies on hydroelectricity for power. A third of the country's power comes from one single dam on Kariba Lake. Its construction in the 1950s was ordered by British colonial officials. It displaced more than 50,000 Tonga people in the southern province. Now, the Zambian government co-owns the dam with Zimbabwe. The Zambian government also owns ZESCO, the largest electricity supplier in the country. Just as there have been maize meal shortages from the drought, the government has had to ration power because water levels in Kariba Lake and across other water bodies are too low. So the energy supply across the country has been inconsistent and comes at odd hours without notice. Activities are almost entirely reliant on hydroelectric power at Mochipapa Station. This means the researchers' computers can be unpowered for most of the day. When power only comes in the night and is gone by morning, it makes it hard to keep a productive operation. Ethel Biamba is a technical research assistant at the station. She says the drought has affected all aspects of her work.
Yeah, I think for now that's the biggest challenge that we've been having. Yeah, looking at climate change, the rains, they have really done us bad, mostly like the previous season that we had.
Mochipapa Station researchers are running trials to compare natural fertilizers like manure and chemical ones. They are also developing and testing drought-resistant crop varieties that do well in the southern province. The seeds and legumes are stored in big glass jars on a tall metal bookshelf in one office. Some of the crops on display were tested out on Cornwell's farm.
Sunflower, soybeans, groundnuts, finger millet, these ones, the favorite beans. Then this one I didn't have it.
Because of the challenges the station faces and the limited resources it has, researchers at the station often have to publish their findings later than they first planned. In the worst cases, sometimes the results are already obsolete for farmers by the time they get printed. So the researchers do what they can to encourage better practices over the span of the studies. They promote using manure and biopesticides made of chili and garlic because chemical pesticides can deplete the soils when used in excess. But Ben says it's sometimes difficult to foster long-term changes in attitudes.
We always tell them to say, it is yours, it's not it's not ours, it is yours. As farmers, we are helping you to come up with a good harvest, for instance, yes.
He says it's gotten easier to get farmers on board since the drought.
But this time now they have seen that this is real now. So now they are trying to adopt whatever we are giving them. At least now this time they are trying. Yes.
So even if there are struggles and things aren't always easy in Mochipapa research, the tide is turning. And if enough farmers adopt more sustainable ways of farming, the southern province soil may recover from years of deforestation and soil erosion.
Seeing our farmers adopting the technologies that we've introduced to them, it really motivates us to do more.
Astire Muchele walks to Mochipapa Research Station every day for work. She is a stores officer at the station. She manages the inventory and places orders. Astire is 32 years old. When she isn't at work, she's also a farmer. She and her husband started farming 4 years ago, but they only moved to live on the farm full-time 2 years back. When she gets home from work, she's greeted by tall modernist pillars. They give way to neatly landscaped road that ends in a roundabout. Young palm trees grow in a row in the center of the road. The farm's design is all clean lines and intentional curves. Most farms in Zambia look a bit different.
Yeah, because we were at school in Namibia, both of us, is where we met. So we liked some of the designs there. Then we were like, no, our farm should not be a very typical farm like everyone else. At least if I had to move out of town and come to stay here, it has to be a bit beautiful so that I won't miss town.
Astire and her husband wanted to start farming while they were still young. At first, they didn't live full-time on their farm. They had planted a whole field of avocado trees to get started. But then they noticed that everything was drying up. The chemical pesticide they bought killed all 500 of their trees.
So we had given up, where you plant, you invest, and they all die. So we had given up. But after we learned of saying, no, you can do organic farming, you can do this, you can do this, that's when we moved and said, let's try it. Let's be on the ground and to see where this will go. If it fails, then we'll stop farming.
Astire went looking for resources on how to take up sustainable agriculture. That is how she met Cornwell, and he agreed to help. He said he would give her and her husband 100 banana trees on one condition. They had to go fully organic. Now, 2 years later, their farm is thriving. They got cattle so they could have steady access to manure. They planted new rows of avocado trees, and now they have 150 banana trees, along with some crop fields.
I feel so proud. Here they even call us that we are the young retirees, because apparently everyone here is a retired person, and we get to mingle with the oldies.
Astire and her husband also make their own liquid fertilizer. He came up with the recipe. Here's how they make it. First, they collect leaves of tithonia, moringa, and comfrey. They also add aloe vera to add a pesticide component. It all goes into a big blue drum they keep covered.
So this is what we mix. When we mix everything, those things I showed you, we even put a sack of manure. We tie the manure in front, then we just lower it in, then we put water. Then we cover it with this for a week. But if we have molasses, we can even use it after 4 days. But if we don't have molasses, we just use it maybe after a month or something like that. It's ready for use.
Once the liquid fertilizer is ready, it gets transferred for spraying.
So the way we use it, we get one of this. We pour it in here. So our ratio is 1 to 3. 1 of this and 3 of this of water. Yes.
By spraying it, instead of watering with the liquid fertilizer, a little goes a long way. This way, they can cover all their fields with the amount of manure they have. One of the reasons people sometimes don't want to start using sustainable agriculture is because it's a lot of work, especially at first. But Astire likes her organic liquid fertilizer the most because of how easy it is.
No, it's easy work. Because you just pick. What I always tell people is organic fertilizer, once you plant, you can harvest for life. You just have to water it. So whenever I have excess leaves, I just pick and put them in the drum.
She also likes how stress-free sustainable farming has been for her.
It's so relieving and I think peaceful that I have to sleep at night not worrying that tomorrow I won't have money to buy pesticides, fertilizer, and the like. Yeah.
Now they found success, Astire and her husband have big plans for the future. They make avocado oil from the dried pulp of their fruits, and they find other uses for the skin and the pit around the farm. They don't want any part of the plant to go to waste. But for now, they can only make so much oil. Once they've saved up enough, they want to set up a factory. They've even set aside a part of the farm for it. It's just a matter of time until they find the resources they need to make their dreams come true. Astire also thinks the factory could help the broader community.
If we're able to set up a factory here, at least we'll be able to employ a lot of people. Because here, a lot of people that are staying here, they are charcoal burners. And they're not doing anything. And now that they are going to burn the charcoal, it's going to really be hard for them to survive.
If she manages to set up the factory, Astire will probably stop working at Mochipapa Station. She's learned bits and pieces by working there over the years, but doing both is already a lot of work. And she's well on her way to fulfilling her ambitions. The drought last year only affected her maize field. She thinks it's mainly because she didn't have enough mulch to cover the whole field. And despite this, her farm's produce is a hit with the local community. She sells some of it to the Spar grocery store in Choma.
And Spar was so amazed because they were saying the vegetables were very tasty, and when they put them on the shelves, they were still fresh. They were being fresh for a long time. So I was really grateful. Like, no, I'll never put anything in my vegetables. Because a lot of people usually come to buy vegetables here, even from town. Yeah, they were like, no, your vegetables are tasty, your vegetables are nice.
We've met a lot of people so far that have embraced sustainable farming after learning from Cornwell. And just like Astire, he's got even more plans for the future. Cornwell sometimes hosts university students on his farm to conduct their research. But now he wants to find partners to turn his farm into a proper school. For youths in Choma who want to take up farming as a livelihood, and for students from out of town, even from out of the country.
We can make this place a home for other people to come and learn. While we are working, we should also be learning lessons that will help other farmers in our area.
With both a prospective new school and the future results of Mochipapa Station's research on drought-resistant crops, it could become easier than ever for small-scale farmers around Choma to be as prepared as Astire and Cornwell to face future climate changes. But until Astire gets her factory and Cornwell gets his school, they're both busy with other ways to engage their community. Since taking up sustainable agriculture, Astire has started to show others how to do organic farming and how to make liquid fertilizer. She gives the training through a local cooperative called Happy Planet. Cornwell also partners with them and Mochipapa Station too. The Sustainable Agriculture Network in Choma District is almost like a spiderweb in that way, and Happy Planet is the thread we haven't explored yet. But if you want to know how nature-based solutions can change the lives of people recovering from addiction, you'll have to tune in to the next episode to find out. This is Nature Answers from Farm Radio International. You can learn more about nature-based solutions and the people implementing them by subscribing to Nature Answers wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social media at Farm Radio. Find pictures of the community on our website at farmradio.org/natureanswers. You will also find transcripts and more about nature-based solutions there. You can also help support the work of Farm Radio International by leaving us a donation there at farmradio.org. Finally, share Nature Answers with your friends and family. We'd love for you to spread the word. Come back next week for our season finale. We can't wait. Until then, I'm your host, Ivy Prosper, coming to you from Accra, Ghana.